Hare Krishna, welcome to Krishna Book Part 3, class number 6. We're going to continue in the 68th chapter of the Krishna book, the marriage of Samba, but first we're going to have some kirtan.
Okay, sweet souls. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose, fill up. Open your mouth, exhale, let it go. We're going to do an abbreviated opening prayer. Deep breath in. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, all together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. One more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Shri Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki, Shri Shri Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Gaur and Vindai ki, Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shastra Study Group ki, Shri Bhakti Sangha and beyond ki. Hare Hare Bol.
Timirantasya Gyananjana Sharakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. All right, great to be back with all of you. So we had some really nice reflections in the chat. Balaram, about the power of association, about the inscrutable nature of Krishna's pastimes. Let's get the ball rolling on a little bit of that, a little bit of reflection on what you've read. It could be from previous chapters, that's okay. And then we'll pick up where we left off in chapter 68.
I was just thinking about how incredibly forgetful many of these people who face Krishna or Balaram are about, the divine majesty of Krishna and Balaram, and they keep on thinking that they can. This time it's going to be different. This time I'm going to be able to beat him. Whether it be, I can't remember the king that 18 times he was facing Krishna, and yeah, and then the monkey, the
Dvita.
Davida, he was like, he's torn up every tree in the forest to hit, it's like, guys, you can't, and it makes me reflect on how many times did I think that this was going to be different. I'm going to just take my will and just, square peg into a round hole. I'm going to make this situation work. I am in control, without really realizing that surrender is so important to my overall well-being. And all I can think is these guys are it's like watching like a cartoon. Just give up. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it's like, it is very instructive for everybody, especially if you consider how qualified they all were. Jarasandha is incredibly powerful. These are like shape-shifting wizards. These are like the creme de la creme of demons. And here we are. I mean, speaking for myself, like I have like a tiny little plan in a tiny little corner of my tiny little brain, and I think, oh yeah, I got it this time. So it's just absurd. So it's point well taken. Surrender is always the safest and sweetest option. And it's always on the table. You can always take it.
Surrender is the safest and sweetest option.
Yeah. Shakti.
I just have to comment on that, Nancy, that was, I mean, maybe I wasn't an addict per se, but tendencies. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to do one Coke. I'm just going to do one line. I'm never going to do that's all I need. And then like 4 a.m, I'm like somewhere in the middle of God knows where. I mean, and I was like 18, and it was like, and it just like, every time it was the same ending, but this time I've got this. My mind is like, and that's why, like, when I came into Krishna consciousness and they're like, your mind is not your friend. And immediately I was like, this is what I've been trying to tell people. Because it really, and it's like, yeah, and like people think it is. And you can't tell anyone it isn't. They have to kind of figure it out on their own. But I guess I feel great. It took me a long time to get to where I am, but like by the time I was 20, I was like done with all of the stuff. But then still there were other things, right, that I thought I could control. So that took longer to give up. But yeah, great realization. Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, as the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, the mind can be, the uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy, but it can become your friend too. So there's a way in which, like in Krishna consciousness, we're actually progressively training our mind to become attracted more and more to the practice of bhakti and to Krishna in all of his different representations and ways we can experience him. And then there comes a point when the mind is actually spontaneously attracted. And just like, the mind can keep you up at night being like, you know what, we got to get up right now and jump into the freezer and down a gallon of ice cream. You can say that. And similarly, you can have the mind be like just absolutely in love with Krishna and not able to stop thinking and hearing his names and remembering his pastimes. And that's also possible. The same mind can be your best friend. So that's there. But I appreciated your point of like, the youthful kind of proud, perspective of like, yeah, no one else got it, but I got it. For the first time in the history of humanity, I've actually figured it out. Meanwhile, it's the same script. Like everyone has been playing that same script for just billions and billions of years. Like it's never changed. But there's we can see like even a lifetime, like an intelligent person starts to get a little bit wise. So we want to become old souls. We want to actually become wise by not having to go through every single permutation and situation ourselves, infinite number of times. If we just hear from Shastra and hear from Krishna, then we can actually skip that. It skips several grades and become an old soul. You know that saying, that person's an old soul? Sometimes they say it about children, like the child is just like very grave, has a certain gravitas, a certain depth to them that you can't explain with their own material situation. It's because, at least not the gross material situation, but on the subtle body is actually like seen some things and done some things and grown and learned. And so similarly, we can skip some grades really very quickly in bhakti by actually receiving these lessons from other souls who tried it and were 100 million times more qualified than us to succeed and failed, and just take the simplest and sweetest course to just surrender to Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. Let's jump into the Krishna book. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rakshamam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Krishna Mukhi Jai. Continuing the 68th chapter. So we're about halfway through the chapter. We're going to start on the paragraph that begins, when Lord Balaram spoke, in a commanding tone. So Samba was stolen away by the residents of Hastinapur, I think. Yeah, the Kauravas, including Dhritarashtra and their family. And Balaram came and he said, well, it's okay. We know that you arrested him improperly. He was surrounded with multiple soldiers. You didn't fight him one-on-one, but that's okay. We don't mind. We just want you to bring him back. And now picking up. When Lord Balaram spoke in a commanding tone full of heroic assertion, supremacy, and chivalry, the leaders of the Kuru dynasty did not appreciate his statements. Rather, they became agitated, and with great anger they said, "Hello! These words are very astonishing, but quite befitting the age of Kali. Otherwise, how could Balaram speak so vituperatively?" Vituperatively comes from the Latin word for cursing. Vituperare, to curse, to cuss or to swear. The language and tone used by Balaram are simply abusive. And due to the influence of this age, it appears that the shoes befitting the feet want to rise to the top of the head where the helmet is worn. We are connected with the Yadu dynasty by marriage, and because of this, they have been given the chance to come live with us, dine with us, and sleep with us. Now they are taking advantage of these privileges. They had practically no position before we gave them a portion of our kingdom to rule, and now they are trying to command us. We have allowed the Yadu dynasty to use the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, conch shell, white umbrella, crown, royal throne, sitting place, and bedstead, along with everything else befitting the royal order. They should not have used such royal paraphernalia in our presence, but we did not check them due to our family relationships. Now they have the audacity to order us to do things. Enough of their impudence. We cannot allow them to do any more of these things, nor shall we allow them to use these royal insignias. It will be best to take all these things away. It is improper to feed a snake with milk, since such merciful activities simply increase their venom. The Yadu dynasty is now trying to go against those who have fed them so nicely. Their flourishing condition is due to our gifts and merciful behavior, and still they're so shameless that they're trying to order us. How regrettable are all these activities? No one in the world can enjoy anything if members of the Kuru dynasty like Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Arjuna do not allow them to. Exactly like as a lamb cannot enjoy life in the presence of a lion, without our desire it is not even possible for the demigods in heaven, headed by King Indra, to find enjoyment in life, what to speak of ordinary human beings. Actually, the members of the Kuru dynasty were very much puffed up, due to their opulence, kingdom, aristocracy, family tradition, great warriors, family members, and vast, expansive empire. They did not even observe common formalities of civilized society, and in the presence of Lord Balaram, they uttered insulting words about the Yadu dynasty. Having spoken in this unmannerly way, they returned to their city of Hastinapura. Although Lord Balaram patiently heard their insulting words and simply observed their uncivil behavior, from his appearance it was clear that he was burning with anger and was thinking of retaliating with great vengeance. We've learned about Balaram, he can be a little spicy. Yeah, I love him too. He's great. His bodily features became so much agitated that it was difficult for anyone to look at him. He laughed very loudly and said, "It is true that if a man becomes too much puffed up because of his family, opulence, beauty, and material advancement, he no longer wants a peaceful life, but becomes belligerent toward all others. It is useless to give such a person good instruction for gentle behavior and peaceful life. On the contrary, one should search out the ways and means to punish them." Generally, due to material opulence, a man becomes exactly like an animal. To give an animal peaceful instructions is useless, and the only means is argumentum ad baculum. In other words, the only means to keep animals in order is a stick. Just see how impudent are the members of the Kuru dynasty. I wanted to make a peaceful settlement despite the anger of all the other members of the Yadu dynasty, including Lord Krishna himself. They were preparing to attack the whole kingdom of the Kuru dynasty, but I pacified them and took the trouble to come here to settle the affair without any fighting. Yet these rascals behave like this. It is clear they do not want a peaceful settlement, for they are factually warmongers. With great pride, they have repeatedly insulted me by calling the Yadu dynasty ill names. Even the king of heaven, Indra, abides by the order of the Yadu dynasty. And you consider King Ugrasena, the head of the Bhojas, Vrishnis, Antikas, and Yadavas, to be a leader of a small phalanx? Your conclusion is wonderful. You do not care for King Ugrasena, whose order is obeyed even by King Indra. Consider the exalted position of the Yadu dynasty. They have forcibly used both the assembly house and the Parijata tree of the heavenly planets, and still you think that they cannot order you. Don't you think that Lord Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, can sit on the exalted royal throne and command everyone? All right. If your thinking is like that, you deserve to be taught a very good lesson. You have thought it wise that the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, white umbrella, royal throne, and other princely paraphernalia not be used by the Yadu dynasty. Does this mean that even Lord Krishna, the Lord of the whole creation and the husband of the goddess of fortune, cannot use this royal paraphernalia? The dust of Krishna's lotus feet is worshipped by all the great demigods. The Ganges water inundates the whole world, and since it emanates from his lotus feet, its banks have turned into great places of pilgrimage. The principal deities of all planets engage in his service and consider themselves most fortunate to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on their helmets. Great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune, and I, are simply plenary parts of his spiritual identity, and still you think that he is not fit to use the royal insignia, or even sit on the royal throne. Alas, how regrettable it is that these fools consider us, the members of the Yadu dynasty, to be like shoes and themselves like helmets. It is clear that these leaders have become mad over their worldly possessions and opulence. Every statement they made was full of crazy proposals. I shall immediately take them to task and bring them to their senses. If I do not take steps against them, it will be improper on my part. Therefore, on this very day, I shall rid the whole world of any trace of the Kuru dynasty. I shall finish them off immediately. While talking like this, Lord Balaram seemed so furious that he looked as if he could burn the whole cosmic creation to ashes. He stood up steadily, and taking his plow in his hand, began striking the earth with it, separating the whole city of Hastinapura from the earth. And then he began to drag the city toward the flowing water of the river Ganges. This caused a great tremor throughout Hastinapur as if there had been an earthquake, and it seemed the whole city would be dismantled. When all the members of the Kuru dynasty saw their city was about to fall into the Ganges, and they heard their citizens howling in great anxiety, they immediately came to their senses and understood what was happening. Thus, without waiting another second, they brought forward their daughter, Lakshmana. They also brought Samba, who had forcibly tried to take her away, keeping him in the forefront with Lakshmana at his back. All the members of the Kuru dynasty appeared before Lord Balaram with folded hands, just to beg the pardon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, using good sense, they said, "O Lord Balaram, reservoir of all pleasures, you are the maintainer and support of the entire cosmic situation. Unfortunately, we were all unaware of your inconceivable potencies. Please consider us most foolish. Our intelligence was bewildered and not in order. Therefore, we have come before you to beg your pardon. Please excuse us. You are the original creator, sustainer, and annihilator of the whole cosmic manifestation, and still your position is always transcendental. Great sages speak about you. You are the original puppeteer, and everything in the world is just like your toy. O Unlimited One, you have a hold on everything, and like child's play, you hold all the planetary systems on your head. When the time for dissolution comes, you close up the whole cosmic manifestation within yourself. At that time, nothing remains but yourself, lying in the causal ocean as Mahavishnu. Our dear Lord, you have appeared on this earth, in your transcendental body, just for the maintenance of the cosmic situation. You are above all anger, envy, and enmity. Whatever you do, even in the form of chastisement, is auspicious for the whole material existence. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you because you are the imperishable Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all opulences and potencies. O Creator of innumerable universes, let us fall down and offer you respectful obeisances again and again. We're now completely surrendered unto you. Please therefore be merciful unto us, give us your protection. When the prominent members of the Kuru dynasty, from Grandfather Bhishmadev to Arjuna and Duryodhana, had offered their respectful prayers in this way, Lord Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, immediately became softened and assured them there was no cause for fear and that they need not worry. For the most part, it was the practice of the Kshatriya kings to inaugurate some kind of fighting between the parties of the bride and bridegroom before the marriage. When Samba forcibly took away Lakshmana, the elder members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually the suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without respect for the regulations of fighting, they all arrested him. When the Yadu dynasty decided to release Samba from the confinement of the Kurus, Lord Balaram came personally to settle the matter, and as a powerful kshatriya, he ordered them to free Samba immediately. The Kauravas were superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balaram's power. They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. Thus, with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter to Samba, and the whole matter was settled. Duryodhana, being affectionate toward his daughter, Lakshmana, had her married to Samba in great pomp. For her dowry, he first gave 1,200 elephants, each at least 60 years old. Then he gave 10,000 nice horses, 6,000 chariots, dazzling just like the sunshine, and 1,000 maidservants decorated with golden ornaments. Lord Balaram, the most prominent member of the Yadu dynasty, acted as guardian of the bridegroom, Samba, and very pleasingly accepted the dowry. Balaram was very satisfied after his great reception from the side of the Kurus, and accompanied by the newly married couple, he started toward his capital city of Dwarka. Lord Balaram triumphantly reached Dwarka, where he met with many citizens who were all his devotees and friends. When they all assembled, Lord Balaram narrated the whole story of the marriage, and they were astonished to hear how Balaram had made the city of Hastinapura tremble. It is confirmed by Shukadeva Goswami that in those days, the river flowing through the city of Hastinapur, present-day New Delhi, was known as the Ganges, although today it is called the Yamuna. From authorities like Jiva Goswami, it is confirmed that the Ganges and Yamuna are the same river, flowing in different courses. The part of the Ganges which flows through Hastinapura to the area of Vrindavan is called the Yamuna, because it is sanctified by the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. The part of Hastinapur which slopes toward the Yamuna becomes inundated during the rainy season, and reminds everyone of Lord Balaram's threatening to cast the city into the Ganges. Jai Krishna Book Ki Jai. All right. Any reflections?
It's interesting how there's like the Leela within the Leela of how they like superficially get mad or like they like, but they're happy that he's showing that power. So then he is actually suitable for their daughter. It's like
They don't want any weakling.
weakling.
How Kshatriyas thing.
Mhm.
They're always testing each other.
Mhm.
Nancy.
Just thinking how, this is before the big battle, and I didn't realize that
Yeah.
Duryodhana and Krishna were in-laws.
They were what?
In-laws, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's Krishna's son and Duryodhana's daughter.
Yeah, well, that's true. They married to each other's family. Also, Krishna's Arjuna's cousin.
Yeah, right.
Because
But
Arjuna's
I didn't realize, because I'm like, why do these? I just keep on forgetting, and I guess it's just a reminder of how much I forget. For me to just having to hear constantly, and the power, the difference, because it's always so incredible how they forget, and then they're gonna fight with the threats are the only way to stop them almost, but they're gonna have a big battle
Yeah.
pretty soon.
Sometimes you need to be like woken up with a little bit of a quick, sharp shock. But
Yeah.
Krishna doesn't like, doesn't like to do that. He's not a sadist.
No.
But it's a tool to wake up the conditioned soul. But the sign of Prabhupada said the sign of a sincere soul is that as soon as they make a mistake and it becomes to their attention that it was a mistake, like even if they have to be reminded by something, then they're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry, you're right, thanks Krishna. You know, even if there was some chastisement or suffering, they're like, all right. When they eventually do come to their senses, they're like, yeah, this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me. This is Krishna, and thank you. I needed to be reminded of something. There's a lesson here. Prabhupada put it this way. He said, the materialist, when something good happens to them, they say, who needs God? Don't you see how amazing I am? Look at how I'm in control of everything. And the devotee says, Krishna is so kind that he's given me these things I don't even deserve. He's just so gentle. And when something bad happens or difficult, the non-devotee, the materialistic mind says, there can never be a God. How can someone as perfect as me have something bad happen to them? And the devotee says, Krishna is so kind. He's given me a fraction of what I could have gotten from my karma. This is just like a tiny bit to burn off, he could have been much worse. He's very gentle. So it's a matter of perspective. But
Yeah.
they definitely, they're all devotees. They all kind of like, even Arjuna's in that camp, right? Right now, Bhishma Dev. But there's a way in which, like, temporarily they're like forgetting. It's really interesting. Okay. Chapter 69. This is a cool one.
What genre is it?
What genre is it? It's kind of every genre, you'll see.
Wow.
The great sage Narada visits the different homes of Lord Krishna. When the great sage Narada heard that Lord Krishna had married 16,000 wives after he had killed the demon Narakasura, he was astonished that Lord Krishna had expanded himself into 16,000 forms and married these wives simultaneously in different palaces. Being inquisitive as to how Krishna was managing his household affairs with so many wives, Narada set out to visit Krishna's different homes. When Narada arrived in Dvarka, he saw gardens and parks full of various flowers of different colors, and also orchards overloaded with a variety of fruits. Beautiful birds were chirping, and peacocks crowed delightfully. There were ponds full of blue and red lotus flowers, and some of these ponds were filled with varieties of lilies. The lakes were full of nice swans and cranes, and the voices of these birds resounded everywhere. In the city there was as many as 900,000 great palaces built of first-class marble, with gates and doors made of silver. The pillars of the houses and palaces were bedecked with jewels such as touchstones, sapphires, and emeralds, and the floors gave off a beautiful luster. The highways, lanes, streets, crossings, and marketplaces were all beautifully decorated. The whole city was full of residential homes, assembly houses, and temples, all of different architectural beauty. All this made Dvarka a glowing city. The big avenues, crossings, lanes, and streets, and also the thresholds of every residential house were very clean. On both sides of every path there were bushes, and at regular intervals there were large trees that shaded the avenues, so the sunshine would not bother the passers-by. In this greatly beautiful city of Dvarka, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, had many residential quarters. The great kings and princes of the world used to visit these palaces just to worship him. The architectural plans were made personally by Vishvakarma, the engineer of the demigods. And in the construction of the palaces, he exhibited all his talents and ingenuity. These residential quarters numbered more than 16,000, and a different queen of Lord Krishna's resided in each of them. The great sage Narada entered one of these houses and saw that the pillars were made of coral, and the ceilings were bedecked with jewels. The walls, as well as the arches between the pillars, glowed from the decorations of different kinds of sapphires. Throughout the palaces were many canopies made by Vishvakarma that were decorated with strings of pearls. The chairs and other furniture were made of ivory and bedecked with gold and diamonds, and jeweled lamps dissipated the darkness within the palace. There was so much incense and fragrant gum burning that the scented fumes were coming out of the windows. The peacocks sitting on the steps became illusioned by the fumes, mistaking them for clouds, and began dancing jubilantly. There were many maidservants, all of whom were decorated with gold necklaces, bangles, and beautiful saris. There were also many menservants, nicely dressed in cloaks and turbans and jeweled earrings. Beautiful as they were, the servants were all engaged in different household duties. Narada saw that Lord Krishna was sitting with Rukmini Devi, the mistress of that particular palace, who was holding the handle of a chamara whisk. Even though there were many thousands of maidservants, equally beautiful and qualified, and of the same age, Rukmini Devi personally was engaged in fanning Lord Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worshipped even by Narada. Yet, as soon as Krishna saw Narada enter the palace, he got down immediately from Rukmini's bedstead and stood up to honor him. Lord Krishna is the teacher of the whole world, and to instruct everyone how to respect a saintly person like Narada Muni, he bowed down, touching his helmet to the ground. Not only did Krishna bow down, but he also touched the feet of Narada, and with folded hands requested him to sit on his chair. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality, worshipped by all devotees. He is the most worshipable spiritual master of everyone. The Ganges water which emanates from his feet sanctifies the three worlds. All qualified Brahmins worship him, and therefore he is called Brahmanya Deva. Brahmanya means one who fully possesses the Brahminical qualifications, which are said to be as follows: truthfulness, self-control, purity, master of the senses, simplicity, full knowledge by practical application, and engagement in devotional service. Lord Krishna possesses all these qualities, and he is worshipped by persons who themselves possess such qualities. There are thousands and millions of names of Lord Krishna, Vishnu Sahasranama, and all of them are given to him because of his transcendental qualities. Lord Krishna in Dwarka enjoyed the pastimes of a perfect human being. Therefore, when he washed the feet of the sage Narada and took the water on his head, Narada did not object, knowing well that the Lord did so to teach everyone how to respect saintly persons. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the original Narayana, an eternal friend of all living entities, thus worshipped the sage Narada according to Vedic regulative principles. Welcoming him with sweet nectarian words, he addressed Narada as Bhagavan, or one who is self-sufficient, possessing all knowledge, renunciation, strength, fame, beauty, and other similar opulences. He particularly asked Narada, "What can I do in your service?" Can you imagine being greeted by Krishna like this?
Mhm.
And he just takes it
He sees that it's a
for higher purpose. Yeah. Narada replied, "My dear Lord, this kind of behavior by your lordship is not at all astonishing, for you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and master of all species of living entities. You're the supreme friend of all living entities, but at the same time, you're the supreme chastiser of the miscreants and the envious. I know that your lordship has descended to this earth for the proper maintenance of the whole universe. Your appearance, therefore, is not forced by any other agency. By your sweet will only you agree to appear and disappear. It is my great fortune that I've been able to see your lotus feet today. Anyone who becomes attached to your lotus feet is elevated to the supreme position of neutrality and is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. My lord, you are unlimited. There is no limit to your opulences. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are always busy placing you within their hearts and meditating upon you. The conditioned souls, who have now been put into the blind well of material existence, can get out of this eternal captivity only by accepting your lotus feet. Thus, you are the only shelter of all conditioned souls. You have very kindly asked what you can do for me. In answer to this, I simply request that I may not forget your lotus feet at any time. I do not care where I may be, but I pray that I constantly be allowed to remember your lotus feet." By asking this benediction from the Lord, the sage Narada showed the ideal prayer of all pure devotees. A pure devotee never asks for any kind of material or spiritual benediction from the Lord. His only prayer is that he may not forget the lotus feet of the Lord in any condition of life. A pure devotee does not care whether he is put into heaven or hell. He is satisfied anywhere, provided he can constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya taught this same process of prayer in his Shikshashtaka, in which he clearly stated that all he wanted was devotional service, birth after birth. A pure devotee does not even want to stop the repetition of birth and death. To a pure devotee, it does not matter whether he has to take birth again. in the various species of life. His only ambition is that he not forget the lotus feet of the Lord in any condition of life. After departing from the palace of Rukmini, Naradaji wanted to see further activities of Lord Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya. Thus he entered the palace of another queen. There he saw Lord Krishna engaged in playing chess with his dear wife, Anuttava. The Lord immediately got up from his personal seat and invited Narada Muni to sit there. The Lord again worshipped him with as much paraphernalia for reception as he had used in the palace of Rukmini. After worshipping him properly, Lord Krishna acted as if he did not know what had happened in the palace of Rukmini. He therefore told Narada, "My dear sage, when your holiness comes here, you are full in yourself. Although we are householders and are always in need, you don't require anyone's help, for you are self-satisfied. Under the circumstances, what reception can we offer you? And what can we possibly give you? Yet, since your holiness is a Brahmana, it is our duty to offer you something as far as possible. Therefore, I beg you to please order me. What can I do for you?" Naradaji knew everything about the pastimes of the Lord, so, without further discussion, he simply left the palace silently, in great astonishment over the Lord's activities. He then entered another palace. This time Naradaji saw that Lord Krishna was engaged as an affectionate father, petting his small children. From there he entered another palace and saw Lord Krishna preparing to take his bath. In this way, Saint Narada entered each and every one of the 16,000 residential palaces of the queens of Lord Krishna, and in each of them he found Krishna engaged in different ways. This is like sci-fi, alternate universes. Narada's like, whoa. In one palace, he found Krishna offering oblations to the sacrificial fire and performing the ritualistic ceremonies of the Vedas, as enjoined for householders. In another palace, he found Krishna performing the Pancha Yagya sacrifice, which is compulsory for a householder. This yagya is also known as Pancha Suna. Knowingly or unknowingly, everyone, especially the householder, commits 5 kinds of sinful activities. When we receive water from a water pitcher, we kill many germs that are in it. Similarly, when we use a grinding machine or eat food, we kill many germs. While sweeping a floor or igniting a fire, we kill many germs, and when we walk on the street, we kill many ants and other insects. Consciously or unconsciously, in all our different activities, we are killing. Therefore, it is incumbent on every householder to perform the Panchasuna sacrifice to rid themselves of the reactions to such sinful activities. These are examples of ritualistic activities given in the Vedas to purify yourself. Bhakti is the essence of all such things, so we don't really go out of our way for any particular specific purificatory acts called yuga. We don't really even have an understanding of the different lists of different kinds of purificatory rituals and so forth. We're trying to give our whole heart to Krishna, which is the essence of purification. We're not trying to create some situation where we can walk in the world without creating, negative reactions for ourselves. But Krishna, he's being very punctilious. He's like following the Vedas to the letter here, following all the rituals.
What was that word? Punctilious. Punctilious.
I think I used it properly. Let me look it up for you. Showing great attention to detail or correct behavior. Punctilious. In one palace, Narada found Lord Krishna feeding brahmanas after performing ritualistic yagyas. In another palace, Narada found Krishna silently chanting the Gayatri mantra. And in a third, he found him practicing fighting with a sword and shield. In some palaces, Lord Krishna was found riding on horses, elephants, or chariots, and wandering hither and thither. Elsewhere, he was found lying down on his bedstead, taking rest. Somewhere else, he was found sitting in his chair, being praised by the prayers of his different devotees. In some of the palaces, he was found consulting with ministers like Uddhava on important matters of business. In one palace, he was found surrounded by many young society girls, enjoying in a swimming pool. In another palace, he was found giving well-decorated cows in charity to the Brahmins. And in another palace, he was found hearing the narrations of the Puranas and of histories such as the Mahabharata, which are supplementary literatures for disseminating Vedic knowledge to common people by narrating important instances in the history of the universe. Somewhere, Lord Krishna was found enjoying the company of a particular wife by exchanging joking words with her. Somewhere else, he was found engaged with his wife in religious ritualistic functions. Since it is necessary for householders to increase their financial assets for various expenditures, Krishna was found somewhere engaged in matters of economic development, making some coin. paying the bills. Somewhere else he was found enjoying family life according to the regulative principles of the Shastras. In one palace he was found sitting in meditation as if concentrating his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is beyond these material universes. Meditation as recommended in authorized scripture is meant for concentrating one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Lord Krishna is himself the original Vishnu, but because he played the part of a human being, he taught us definitely by his personal behavior what is meant by meditation. Somewhere Lord Krishna was found satisfying elderly superiors by supplying them things they needed. Somewhere else Naradaji found that Lord Krishna was engaged in discussing topics of fighting, and somewhere else in making peace with enemies. Somewhere Lord Krishna was found discussing the ultimate auspicious activity for the entire human society with his elder brother, Lord Balaram. Narada saw Lord Krishna engaged in getting his sons and daughters married, with suitable brides and bridegrooms in due course of time, and the marriage ceremonies were being performed with great pomp. In one palace, the Lord was found bidding farewell to his daughters, and in another, he was found receiving a daughter-in-law. People throughout the whole city were astonished to see such pomp and ceremonies. Somewhere, the Lord was seen performing different types of sacrifices to satisfy the demigods, who were only his qualitative expansions. Somewhere, he was seen engaged in public welfare activities, establishing deep wells for the water supply, rest houses and gardens for unknown guests, and great monasteries and temples for saintly persons. These are some of the duties enjoined in the Vedas for householders for fulfillment of their material desires. Somewhere Krishna was found as a Kshatriya king engaged in hunting animals in the forest and riding on a very beautiful Sindhi horse. According to Vedic regulations, the Kshatriyas were allowed to kill prescribed animals on certain occasions, either to maintain peace in the forests or to offer the animals in the sacrificial fire. Kshatriyas are allowed to practice this killing art because they have to kill their enemies mercilessly to maintain peace in society. In one situation, the great sage Narada saw Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Master of Mystic Powers, acting as a spy by changing his usual dress in order to understand the motives of different citizens in the city and the palaces. There's a historical account of one of the emperors of Rome entering an anonymous dress and walking to the city like he's Joe Schmo, just to see how the people on the street are thinking, how they feel about his rulership, what his reputation is. Ramachandra did this too. So Krishna is entering the spy thriller genre, ducking around and reconnoitering, performing reconnaissance. He's spying on his own people. So he's very diverse. Saint Narada saw all these activities of the Lord, who is the super soul of all living entities, but who played the role of an ordinary human being to manifest the activities of his internal potency. Smiling within himself, Narada addressed the Lord as follows: "My dear Lord of all mystic powers, object of the meditation of great mystics, the extent of your mystic power is certainly inconceivable, even to mystics like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. But by your mercy, because of my being always engaged in your transcendental loving service of your lotus feet, your Lordship has very kindly revealed to me the actions of your internal potency. My dear Lord, you are worshipable by all, and demigods and predominating deities of all 14 planetary systems are completely aware of your transcendental fame. Now please give me your blessings, so that I may be able to travel all over the universes, singing the glories of your transcendental activities." Lord Krishna replied to Narada as follows: "My dear Narada, O sage among the demigods, you know that I am the supreme instructor and perfect follower of all religious principles, as well as the supreme enforcer of such principles. I am therefore personally executing such religious principles in order to teach the whole world how to act. My dear son, it is my desire that you not be bewildered by such demonstrations of my internal potency." The Supreme Personality of Godhead was engaged in his so-called household affairs in order to teach people how one can sanctify one's household life, although one may be attached to the imprisonment of material existence. Actually, one is obliged to continue the term of material existence because of household life, but the Lord, being very kind upon householders, demonstrated the path of sanctifying ordinary household life. Because Krishna is the center of all activities, the life of a Krishna-conscious householder is transcendental to Vedic conjunctions and is automatically sanctified. That's what I meant by not having to perform all the different rituals. If you're Krishna conscious and you dedicate yourself that way, you're automatically transcendental. Thus, Narada saw one single Krishna living in 16,000 palaces by his plenary expansions. Due to his inconceivable energy, he was visible in the palace of each and every individual queen. Lord Krishna has unlimited power, and Narada's astonishment was boundless upon observing again and again the demonstration of Lord Krishna's internal energy. Lord Krishna behaved by his personal example as if he were very much attached to the four principles of civilized life, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation. These four principles of material existence are necessary for the spiritual advancement of human society, and although Lord Krishna had no need to do so, he exhibited his household activities so that people might follow in his footsteps for their own interest. Right? The word for these is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Right? These are the four principles of human life. Dharma, you're functioning within the world according to some religious or like you have some duty to perform. You do your duty, you do your work, and by that you get some artha, some economic development. You get some result you can use to satisfy your kama, your senses, sense gratification, and ultimately one comes to the point of wanting to transcend that and come to moksha, liberation. It's described that prema, love of God, is actually transcendental to all four of these. But while one is in the world and one is still attached to the world, there is some degree of all these, right? So living a regulated life, regulating your activities, regulating your economic development, regulating how you spend that, regulating how you engage your senses is useful and practical. It's part of how we live. You know, there's lifestyle management involved in being devotees. We don't eat, drink, spend, work, recreate indiscriminately. There's just a certain amount of like order to that, and it keeps us on the straight and narrow, really, not falling off one way or the other. You can see what happens in society when economic development and sense gratification are unregulated, right? Unregulated market systems become very quickly exploitative, dangerous. Unregulated sense gratification destroys your body and mind, plain and simple. It just ruins you as a human being. So spiritual life means being regulated. Krishna is showing that. Lord Krishna satisfied the sage Narada in every way. Narada was very much pleased by seeing the Lord's activities in Dvarka, and thus he departed. In narrating the activities of Lord Krishna in Dvarka, Shukadeva Goswami explained to King Parikshit how Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, descends to this material universe by the agency of his internal potency and personally exhibits the principles which, if followed, can lead one to achieve the ultimate goal of life. All the queens in Dvarka, more than 16,000 in number, engage their feminine attractive features in the transcendental service of the Lord by smiling and serving, and the Lord was pleased to behave with them exactly like a perfect husband enjoying household life. One should know definitely that such pastimes cannot be performed by anyone but Lord Sri Krishna, who is the original cause of the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation. Anyone who attentively hears the narrations of the Lord's pastimes in Dvarka or supports a preacher of the Krishna consciousness movement will certainly find it very easy to traverse the path of liberation and taste the nectar, the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and thus they'll be engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service. Jai! Amazing. Reflections.
There's a lot that went on there.
A lot.
Busy guy.
It's kind of like I said, every genre.
Yeah. Every genre going on all at once.
Perfectly.
And
every time Narada shows up, Krishna's like, oh, wow, it's Narada, everybody.
glorifies him.
Yeah. What can I do for you? Narada's like, wow. Next.
I took away a couple of things. One, as you just mentioned with Narada, it's like an example of how to act, right? Krishna, even though it's not his duty to really do these things, he's giving us an example of how we should greet great souls.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really beautiful. We see the importance of Yoga Maya we see that again is like Narada really wants to see, even if he knows it's God, he wants to see what it's like to not know that Krishna is God, right? So, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then I also thought it was really neat, like I believe, you know, as in Krishna consciousness, that Krishna is with each and every one of us individually. Like Krishna is multiplied by billions of people. And so I love this pastime because it really shows, like, you know, with detail how Krishna can be everywhere with everyone all at once, because it's really hard to like imagine that. And then like lastly, just, you know, Narda had this absolute sense of wonder. And I think it's really indicative of how we should live our lives and wake up with a sense of wonder. Like Rukmini Devi talks about it all the time, where she just says, like, you know, to be amazed is to be spiritual. And so if we're able to wake up in the world and see all the wonder, look at the birds and look at these crazy plants and insects and things and see wonder and see Krishna and everything, then that leads us to this level of, you know, a different type of love with Krishna.
Yeah, that childlike quality. Yeah, thank you. Someone was saying that our connection seems to be a bit on and off. Is it sorted itself out? Can you hear us okay?
I haven't had a problem.
Okay.
Maybe shock to Davey, it's on your end. I don't know.
Could be on your end, yeah.
Could be in the Canadian white north here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanya has her hand up. Go ahead.
So again, beautiful chapter. And forgive me for not coming on camera.
It's okay.
What I love about this is he's showing by example, you know, how to live, how to have those rituals. But what I really loved is how the chapter began. It began by him really showing the importance of humility and taking, you know, getting yourself out of the center. And even though he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he showed Vaishnav etiquette when Narada came to his home. And he got down and prostrate in front of him and showed that ultimate, you know, respect that is, you know, illustrative of, you know, what the etiquette is trying to teach us and trying to remind us that we are not the center and that we're always the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And I think the way that the chapter started was just intensely beautiful, and it just continued to show by example, you know, how to live in every different circumstance, how to bring this spirituality, keep yourself out of the center, keep Krishna in the center in every different scenario.
Yeah, that's where the joy is. There's no fun in trying to make yourself the center. It's actually very anxiety inducing. Krishna, who actually is the center, is so eager to give credit. You know, there's an expression, you never lose anything by giving credit. So there's a way in which, like, the materialistic perspective is always looking to, how can I make myself look good? How can I be important here? How can I get credit? How can I, you know, like, win? And how can it be about me? And spiritual perspective is like not a perspective of limited resources, and it's not a perspective that's revolving around one's own temporary self. So it's like the devotees are always looking to glorify someone else, and Krishna is always looking to glorify the devotees. It's just like, that's where the joy is. It's a nice paradigm shift because, you know, at least for myself, I can find myself getting stuck in like that other way, and it's like, oh yeah, what am I doing? Why am I tripping myself over this idea that it's like actually about me? Yeah, very sweet conduct from Krishna. Nancy.
I was just thinking of the parallel between, you know, Krishna's mercy of allowing individuality, our individuality. That, for example, when he replicated the cows and the gopas, you know, exactly so that their families wouldn't be disturbed, the cows wouldn't be disturbed. And here he's acting the individualized husband to
Yeah.
these women, so that they had different needs, and whatever, and he's just okay, I'll take out the trash, I'll do whatever you need to do. But it makes me feel that I don't have to be vanilla. I can be a little rocky road every once in a while, and Krishna still loves me.
Well, yeah, because Krishna is actually like the supreme enjoyer, so he's manifested an unlimited number of living entities, each with an unlimited, like an unlimited number of different kinds of personalities and uniqueness, and so no one else can be you. That's the great part for him, right? Like that's the difference between material and spiritual relationships. And a material relationship is always dissatisfying because they can never fully reciprocate with you. Here is Krishna, who absolutely fully gets you and is like all in, completely all about who you are. He's the perfect lover. He's the perfect partner, because he actually like is unlimitedly able to expand himself, and he knows every little nook and cranny of the soul. And it's a nice reminder that, as I've noted, in associating with advanced devotees in any tradition, actually, the more advanced they are, the more of an individual they are. They don't become stereotyped. They don't become like homogenous at all. They become very, very unique. Like there's nobody like Srila Prabhupada. Nobody. Not his godbrothers, not his followers. They're all very different people. Like the more advanced they get, the more it's like, yeah, they have a certain quality that no one else, like Radhanath Swami. Like who else is like Radhanath Swami? Nobody. Nobody's like him. He's just got a certain quality, because they're getting closer and closer and closer to perfection. It's like that's just who they are, that no one else can be, and they're that so perfectly that it's like, yum, it's so delicious, So Krishna is like that. He's just like, he wants you to be you. There's none of this like, oh, stereotype, got to fit in, got to get along, that's just all material nonsense. Krishna's actually, he wants the real thing. So yeah, good call. Shakti.
Just kind of piggybacking a little bit on what you just said. My friend was just got initiated, and
Jai.
yeah, Jai is right, and she was talking about her Guru Dev, who is a Prabhupada disciple, god brother of my Guru Dev and many other Guru Devs, but it's like they're all like her Guru Dev, he's amazing. But my Guru Dev's in Holland, like walking across the country, like every Guru Dev, they're just all different, but they all have this, like my friend met him, my Guru Dev, and she's like she never had met him. She's like, he is so cool. Like, cause he's just him, but it's just, he's a more just laid back. That doesn't make him better or worse. It's just who he is, like you said. But when it comes to learning Shastra or talking about, or doing, the four regular principles, doing your 16, all of that, there is no, that's the where they all draw the line, where they all are on the same path there.
Yeah, those fundamental practices that Prabhupada gave us, that's what takes you there and keeps you there. None of his followers are the advanced followers, the ones who are really making advancement. They've all stuck with the fundamentals. It's like you can't be a great baseball player if you don't run, hit, throw, and catch. It's just the game. Those are the fundamentals. You always win with the fundamentals. You can be better at one thing than the other, or focus on this or that, but you have to know your fundamentals, stick with it. You can't like be a poet if you don't know your alphabet. So we're all about hearing and chanting. We're all about the deities and kirtan and prasad, and we're all about that. We're never going to stop being about that. And within that, there's like an unlimited room for personality to blossom. Jai. All right, let's see if we can finish chapter 70. I think we can do it. Lord Krishna's daily activities. A day in the life. From the Vedic mantras, we learn that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do. Natasya karanang vidyate. But if the Supreme Lord has nothing to do, how can we speak of the activities of the Supreme Lord? From the previous chapter, it's clear that no one can act the way Lord Krishna does. We should clearly note this fact. The activities of the Lord should be followed, but they cannot be imitated. For example, Krishna's ideal life as a householder can be followed. But if one wants to imitate Krishna by expanding into many forms, that is not possible. We should always remember, therefore, that Lord Krishna, although playing the part of a human being, simultaneously maintains the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can follow Lord Krishna's dealings with his wives as an ordinary human being, but his dealings with more than 16,000 wives at one time cannot be imitated. The conclusion is that to become ideal householders, we should follow in the footsteps of Lord Krishna as he displayed his daily activities, but we cannot imitate him at any stage of our life. Lord Krishna used to lie down with his 16,000 wives, but he would also rise from bed very early in the morning, 3 hours before sunrise. By nature's arrangement, the crowing of the cocks warn of the Brahma Muhurta hour. There is no need of alarm clocks. As soon as the cocks crow early in the morning, it is to be understood that it is time to rise from bed. Hearing that sound, Krishna would get up from bed, but his rising early was not very much to the liking of his wives. The wives of Krishna were so much attached to him that they would lie in bed embracing him. And as soon as the cocks crowed, Krishna's wives would be very sorry and would immediately condemn the crowing. In the garden within the compound of each palace, there were parijata flowers. The parijata is not an artificial flower. We remember that Krishna brought the parijata trees from heaven and planted them in all those palaces. Early in the morning, a mild breeze would carry the aroma of the parijata flower, and Krishna would smell it just after rising from bed. Due to this aroma, the honeybees would begin their humming vibration, and the birds also would begin their sweet chirping sounds. Altogether, it would sound like the singing of professional chanters engaged in offering prayers to Krishna. Although Srimati Rukmini Devi, the first queen of Lord Krishna, knew that Brahma Muhurta is the most auspicious time in the entire day, she would feel disgusted at the appearance of Brahma Muhurta because she was not very happy to have Krishna leave her side in bed. Despite Srimati Rukmini Devi's disgust, Lord Krishna would immediately get up from bed exactly on the appearance of Brahma Muhurta. An ideal householder should learn from the behavior of Lord Krishna how to rise early in the morning, however comfortably he may be lying in bed embraced by his wife. After rising from bed, Lord Krishna would wash his mouth, hands, and feet, and would immediately sit down and meditate on himself. This does not mean, however, that we should also sit down and meditate on ourselves. We have to meditate upon Krishna, Radha Krishna. That is real meditation. Krishna is Krishna himself. Therefore, he was teaching us that Brahma Muhurta should be utilized for meditation on Radha Krishna. By such meditation, Krishna would feel very much satisfied. And similarly, we will also feel transcendently pleased and satisfied if we utilize the Brahma Muhurta period to meditate on Radha and Krishna. And if we think of how Sri Rukmini Devi and Krishna acted as ideal householders to teach the whole human society to rise early in the morning and immediately engage in Krishna consciousness. See, even Krishna has a morning program. Even Krishna does that. Lord Chaitanya too. When he was in Vrindavan, he would go to the Imlital temple and he would chant japa till noon. And then he would get up and have the rest of his day. Take bath in the Yamuna, chant his Gayatri, and then go joyfully chant kirtan, have his pastimes. He had a morning program.
How many rounds was he chanting a day?
A lot. He was never not chanting. But the point is, you get that practice in the morning if you can. It's really nice. There is no difference between meditating on the eternal forms of Radha and Krishna and chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna. As for Krishna's meditation, he had no alternative but to meditate on himself. The object of meditation is Brahman, Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna himself is all three. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. The localized Paramatma is his plenary partial expansion, and the all-pervading Brahman effulgence is the personal rays of his transcendental body. Therefore, Krishna is always one, and for him there is no differentiation. That is the difference between an ordinary living being and Krishna. For an ordinary living being, there are so many distinctions. An ordinary living being is different from his body, and he is different from other species of living entities. A human being is different from other human beings and is different from the animals. Even in his own body, there are different bodily limbs. We have our hands and legs, but our hands are different from our legs. The hand cannot act like the leg, nor can the leg act like the hand. The ears can hear, but the eyes cannot. And the eyes can see, but the ears cannot. All these differences are technically called svajatiya vijatiya. The bodily limitation whereby one part of the body cannot act as another part is totally absent from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no difference between his body and himself. He is completely spiritual. and therefore there is no difference between his body and his soul. Similarly, he is not different from his millions of incarnations and plenary expansions. Baladeva is the first expansion of Krishna, and from Baladeva expands Sankarsana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. From Sankarsana there is an expansion of Narayana, and from Narayana there is a second quadruple expansion of Sankarsana, Vasudeva, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Similarly, there are innumerable other expansions of Krishna, but all of them are one. Krishna has many incarnations rather, such as Lord Nrsimha, Lord Boar, Lord Fish, and Lord Tortoise. But there's no difference between Krishna's original two-handed form like that of a human being and these incarnations of gigantic animal forms. Nor is there any difference between the actions of one part of his body and that of another. His hands can act as his legs, his eyes can act as his ears, or his nose can act as any other part of his body. Krishna's smelling and eating and hearing are all the same. We limited living entities have to use a particular part of the body for a particular purpose, but there is no such distinction for Krishna. So when you're offering Krishna food, you're chanting mantra, he's hearing that, and by hearing it, he's eating. He doesn't have to show up and put it in his mouth. You know, we have to put food in our mouth. It's the only place it works. Krishna is not limited in such. This is like one example Prabhupada gives of this principle in action. In the Brahma Samhita it is said, Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. Krishna can perform the actions of one limb with any other limb. So by analytical study of Krishna and his person, it is concluded that he is the complete whole. When he meditates, therefore, he meditates on himself. Self-meditation by ordinary men, designated in Sanskrit as soham, is simply imitation. Krishna may meditate on himself because he is the complete whole, but we cannot imitate him and meditate on ourselves. Our body is a designation superimposed upon ourself, the soul. Krishna's body is not a designation. Krishna's body is also Krishna. There is no existence of anything foreign in Krishna. Whatever there is in Krishna is also Krishna. He is therefore the supreme, indestructible, complete existence, or the supreme truth. Krishna's existence is not a relative existence. Everything else but Krishna is a relative truth, but Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. Krishna does not depend on anything but himself for his existence. Our existence, however, is relative. For example, only when there is the light of the sun, the moon, or electricity are we able to see. Our seeing, therefore, is relative. And the light of the sun and moon and electricity is also relative. They're called illuminating only because we see them as such. But dependence and relativity do not exist in Krishna. His activities are not dependent on anyone else's appreciation, nor does he depend on anyone else's help. He is beyond the existence of limited time and space. And because he is transcendental to time and space, he cannot be covered by the illusion of Maya, whose activities are limited. In the Vedic literature, we find that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has multi-potencies. Since all such potencies are emanations from him, there is no difference between him and his potencies. Certain philosophers say, however, that when Krishna comes, he accepts a material body. But even if it is accepted that when he comes to the material world, he accepts a material body, it should be concluded also that because the material energy is not different from him, this body does not act materially. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, therefore, that he appears by his own internal potency, Atma Maya. Krishna is called the Supreme Brahman because he's the cause of creation, the cause of maintenance, and of dissolution. Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva are different expansions of these different material qualities. All these material qualities can act on the conditioned souls, but there is no such action and reaction upon Krishna because these qualities are all simultaneously one with and different from him. Krishna himself is simply Satchidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge. And because of his inconceivable greatness, he is called the Supreme Brahman. His meditation on Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan is on himself only and not on anything else besides himself, beyond himself. This meditation cannot be imitated by the ordinary living entity. After his meditation, the Lord would regularly bathe early in the morning with clear, sanctified water. Then he would change into fresh clothing, cover himself with a wrapper, and engage in his daily religious functions. Or like a chadar, so like a robes. Out of his many religious duties, the first was to offer oblations into the sacrificial fire and silently chant the Gayatri mantra. Lord Krishna, as the ideal householder, executed all the religious functions of a householder without deviation. When the sunrise became visible, the Lord would offer specific prayers to the sun god. The sun god and other demigods mentioned in the Vedic scriptures are described as different limbs of the body of Lord Krishna, and it is the duty of the householder to offer respects to the demigods and great sages, as well as our forefathers. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has no specific duty to perform in this world, yet he acts just like an ordinary man, living an ideal life within this material world. In accordance with Vedic ritualistic principles, the Lord would offer respects to the demigods. The regulative principles by which demigods and forefathers are worshipped is called tarpana, which means pleasing. One's forefathers may have to take a body on another planet, but by performance of this tarpana system, they become very happy wherever they may be. It is the duty of the householder to make his family members happy, and by following this tarpana system, he can make his forefathers happy also. As the perfect exemplary householder, Lord Sri Krishna followed this tarpana system and offered respectful obeisances to the elderly, superior members of his family. His next duty was to give cows in charity to the Brahmins. Every day, Lord Krishna used to give many groups of 13,084 cows. Each of the cows was decorated with a silken cover and pearl necklace. Their horns were covered with gold plating, and their hooves were silver plated. All of them were full with milk, due to having their firstborn calves with them, and they were very tame and peaceful. When the cows were given in charity to the Brahmanas also were given nice silken garments, and each was given a deer skin and sufficient quantity of sesame seeds. The Lord is generally known as Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, which means that his first duty is to see to the welfare of the cows and the Brahmins. Thus, he used to give cows in charity to the Brahmins with opulent decorations and paraphernalia. Then, wishing for the welfare of all living entities, he would touch auspicious articles such as milk, honey, ghee, gold, jewels, and fire. Although the Lord is by nature very beautiful due to the perfect figure of his transcendental body, he would dress himself in yellow garments and put on his necklace of Kaustuba jewels. He would wear flower garlands, smear his body with the pulp of sandalwood, and decorate himself with similar cosmetics and ornaments. It is said that the ornaments themselves became beautiful upon being placed on the transcendental body of the Lord. The name for that in Sanskrit is Ratna Bhushana Bhushana. Krishna, who is the ornament of his ornaments. After decorating himself in this way, the Lord would then look at marble statues of the cow and calf and visit temples of god or demigods, like Lord Shiva. There are many Brahmins who would come daily to see the Supreme Lord before taking their breakfast. They were anxious to see him, and he welcomed them. His next duty was to please all kinds of men belonging to the different castes, both in the city and within the palace compound. He made them happy by fulfilling their different desires, and when the Lord saw them happy, he also became very pleased. The flower garlands, betel nuts, sandalwood pulp, and other fragrant cosmetic articles offered to the Lord would be distributed by him, first to the Brahmins and elderly members of the family, then to the queens, then to the ministers, and if there were still some balance, he would engage it for his own personal use. By the time the Lord finished all these daily duties and activities, his charioteer Dwaraka would come with his wonderful chariot to stand before the Lord with folded hands, intimating that the chariot was ready. And the Lord would come out of the palace to travel. Then the Lord, accompanied by Uddhava and Satyaki, would ride on the chariot just as the sun god rides on his chariot in the morning, appearing with his blazing rays on the surface of the world. When the Lord was about to leave his palaces, all the queens would look at him with feminine gestures. The Lord would respond to their greetings with smiles, attracting their hearts so much that they would feel intense separation from him. Thus the Lord would go to the assembly house known as Sudharma. It may be remembered that the Sudharma assembly house was taken away from the heavenly planets and established in Dwarka. The specific significance of the assembly house was anyone who entered it would be freed from the 6 kinds of material pangs: hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. These are the whips of material existence, and as long as one remained in that Sudharma assembly house, they would not be affected by these 6 material whips. The Lord would say goodbye in all the 16,000 palaces, and again he would become one and entered the Sudharma assembly house in procession with other members of the Yadu dynasty. After entering the assembly house, he used to sit on the exalted royal throne and would be seen to emanate glaring rays of transcendental effulgence. In the midst of all the great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, Krishna resembled the full moon in the sky, surrounded by multi-luminaries. In the assembly house were professional jokers, dancers, musicians, and ballet girls. And as soon as the Lord sat on his throne, they would begin their respective functions to please the Lord and put him in a happy mood. First of all, the jokers would talk in such a way that the Lord and his associates would enjoy their humor, which would refresh the morning mood. The dramatic actors would then play their parts. The dancing ballet girls would separately display their artistic movements. All these functions would be accompanied by the beating of mridanga drums and the sounds of the veena, flutes and bells, followed by the sound of the mudija, another type of drum. To these musical vibrations, the auspicious sound of the conch shell would be added. The professional singers called sutas and magatas would sing, and others would perform their dancing art. In this way, as devotees, they would offer respectful prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes learned Brahmanas present in an assembly would chant Vedic hymns and explain them to the audience to the best of their knowledge. And sometimes some of them would recite old historical accounts of the activities of prominent kings. The Lord, accompanied by his associates, would be very pleased to hear them. Once upon a time, a person arrived at the gateway of the assembly house who was unknown to all the members of the assembly. And with the permission of Lord Krishna, he was admitted into the assembly. The doorkeeper was ordered to present him before the Lord, and the man appeared and offered his respectful obeisances. It had happened that when King Jarasandha conquered all other kingdoms, many kings did not bow their heads before Jarasandha, and consequently all of them, numbering 20,000, were arrested and made his prisoners. The man brought before Lord Krishna by the doorkeeper was a messenger from all these imprisoned kings. Being duly presented before the Lord, the man began to relay a message from the kings as follows. Dear Lord, you are the eternal form of transcendental bliss and knowledge. As such, you are beyond the reach of the mental speculation or vocal description of any materialistic man. A slight portion of your glories can be known by persons fully surrendered to your lotus feet, and by your grace only, such persons become freed from all material anxieties. Dear Lord, we are not among these surrendered souls. We are still within the duality and illusion of this material existence. We therefore take shelter of your lotus feet, for we are afraid of the cycle of birth and death. We think that there are many living entities like us who are eternally entangled in fruitive activities and the reactions. They are never inclined to follow your instructions by performing devotional service, although it is pleasing to the heart and most auspicious for one's existence. Dear Lord, who can estimate your mercy and your powerful activities? You are present always as the insurmountable force of eternal time, baffling the indefatigable desires of the materialists, who are thus repeatedly confused and frustrated. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you in your form of eternal time. It is said that your appearance in this incarnation is for the purpose of protecting the faithful and destroying the miscreants. Under the circumstances, how is it possible that miscreants like Jarasandha can put us into such deplorable conditions of life against your authority? We are puzzled at this situation and cannot understand how this is possible. It may be that Jarasandha has been deputed to give us such trouble because of our past misdeeds, but we have heard from revealed scriptures that anyone who surrenders unto your lotus feet is immediately immune to the reactions of sinful life. We have now come to the real conclusion of our lives. Our kingly positions were nothing but the reward of our past pious activities, just as our suffering imprisonment by Jarasandha is the result of our past impious activities. We realize now that the reactions of both pious and impious activities are temporary, and we can never be happy in this conditioned life. The material body is awarded to us by the modes of material nature, and on account of this, we are full of anxieties. The material condition of life simply involves bearing the burden of this dead body. As a result of fruitive activities, we have thus been subjected to being beasts of burden for these bodies, and thus being forced by conditioned life, we have given up the pleasing life of Krishna consciousness. Now we realize we are the most foolish persons. We have therefore come to the shelter of your lotus feet, which can immediately eradicate all the results of fruitive action, and thus free us from the contamination of material pains and pleasures. Dear Lord, because we are now surrendered souls at your lotus feet, you can give us relief from the entrapment of fruitive action made possible by Jarasandha. It is known to you that Jarasandha possesses the power of 10,000 elephants, and with this power he has imprisoned us, just as a lion hypnotizes a flock of sheep. Dear Lord, you have already fought with Jarasandha 18 times consecutively, out of which you have defeated him 17 times by surpassing his extraordinarily powerful position. But in your 18th fight, you exhibited your human behavior, and thus it appeared that you were defeated. That's when you ran away. Remember?
Krishna ran away?
Yeah. Dear Lord, we know very well that Jarasandha cannot defeat you at any time, for your power, strength, resources, and authority are all unlimited. No one can equal you or surpass you. Your apparent defeat by Jarasandha in the 18th engagement was nothing but an exhibition of human behavior. Unfortunately, foolish Jarasandha could not understand your tricks, and he has since then become puffed up over his material power and prestige. Specifically, he has arrested and imprisoned us, knowing fully that as your devotees we are subordinate to your sovereignty. The messenger concluded, "Now I have explained the awful position of the kings, and your lordship can consider to do what you like. As the messenger and representative of all these imprisoned kings, I have submitted my words before your lordship and presented their prayers to you. All the kings are very anxious to see you, so that they can personally surrender at your lotus feet. Please be merciful unto them, and act for their good fortune." At the very moment the messenger of the imprisoned kings was presenting their appeal before the Lord, the great sage Narada arrived. Because he was a great saint, his hair was dazzling like gold, and when he entered the assembly house, it appeared that the sun god was personally present in the midst of the assembly. Lord Krishna is the worshipful master of even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Yet as soon as he saw the sage Narada had arrived, he immediately stood up with his ministers and secretaries to receive the great sage and offer his respectful obeisances. The great sage Narada took a comfortable seat, and Lord Krishna worshipped him. While trying to satisfy Naradaji, Lord Krishna spoke the following words in his sweet and natural voice. "My dear sage among the demigods, I think that now everything is well within the three worlds. You are perfectly eligible to travel everywhere in space. Fortunately, when we meet you, we can very easily take information from your holiness of all the news of the three worlds. For within this cosmic manifestation of the Supreme Lord, there is nothing concealed from your knowledge. You know everything. And so I wish to question you, are the Pandavas doing well? And what is the present plan of King Yudhishthira? Will you kindly let me know what they want to do at present?" The great sage Narada spoke as follows. "My dear Lord, you have spoken about the cosmic manifestation created by the Supreme Lord, but I know that you are the all-pervading creator. Your energies are so extensive and inconceivable that even powerful personalities like Brahma, the Lord of this particular universe, cannot measure your inconceivable power. My dear Lord, you're present as a supersoul in everyone's heart by your inconceivable potency, exactly like the fire which is present in everyone, but which no one can see directly. In conditioned life, the living entities are within the jurisdiction of the three modes of material nature. As such, they are unable to see your presence everywhere with their material eyes. By your grace, however, I have seen many times the action of your inconceivable potency. And therefore, when you ask me what for the news of the Pandavas, which is not at all unknown to you, I am not surprised at your inquiry. My dear Lord, only by dint of your inconceivable potency does this material world, although a shadow representation of the spiritual world, appear to be factual. As far as I am concerned, I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. In the bodily concept of existence, everyone is driven by material desires, and thus everyone develops new material bodies one after another in the cycle of birth and death. Being absorbed in such a concept of existence, one does not know how to get out of this engagement of the material body. By your causeless mercy, my Lord, you descend to exhibit your various transcendental pastimes, which are illuminating and full of glory. Therefore, I have no alternative but to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Dear Lord, you are the Supreme, Para Brahman, and your pastimes as an ordinary human are another tactical resource, exactly like a play on the stage, in which the actor plays parts different from his own identity. Because the Pandavas are your cousins, you've inquired about them in the role of their well-wisher, and therefore I should let you know about their intentions. First, I may inform you that King Yudhishthira has all material opulences which are possible to achieve in the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka. He has no material opulence for which to aspire, and yet he wants to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, only to get your association and please you. King Yudhishthira is so opulent that he has attained all the opulences of Brahmaloka even on this earthly planet. He's fully satisfied and does not need anything more. He's full in everything, but now he wants to worship you to achieve your causeless mercy. And I beg you to fulfill his desires. My dear Lord, in these great sacrificial performances by King Yudhishthira, there will be an assembly of all the demigods and all the famous kings of the world. You are the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, one who engages himself in your devotional service by the prescribed methods of hearing, chanting, and remembering, certainly becomes purified from the contamination of the modes of material nature. And what to speak of those who have the opportunity to see you and touch you directly? You are the symbol of everything auspicious. Your transcendental name and fame have spread all over the universe, including the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The transcendental water which washes your lotus feet is known in the higher planetary systems as Mandakini, in the lower planetary system as Bhogavati, and in this earthly planetary system as the Ganges. This sacred transcendental water flows throughout the entire universe, purifying wherever it flows. Just before the sage Narada arrived in the Sudharma assembly house of Dwarka, Lord Krishna and his ministers and secretaries had been considering how to attack the kingdom of Jarasandha. Because they were seriously considering this subject, Narada's proposal that Lord Krishna go to Hastinapura for Maharaj Yudhishthir's great Rajasuya sacrifice did not much appeal to them. Lord Krishna could understand the intentions of his associates because he is the ruler of even Lord Brahma. Therefore, in order to pacify them, he smilingly said to Uddhava, "My dear Uddhava, you're always my well-wishing confidential friend. I therefore wish to see everything through you, because I believe that your counsel is always right. I believe that you understand the whole situation perfectly. Therefore, I'm asking your opinion. What should I do? I have faith in you, and therefore I shall do whatever you advise." It was known to Uddhava that although Lord Krishna was acting like an ordinary man, he knew everything, past, present, and future. However, because the Lord wanted to consult with him, Uddhava, in order to render service to the Lord, began to speak. End of chapter 70. Jai. Krishna Book Ki Jai. All right, we're at 8 o'clock. Any quick reflections?
That were, the teaching that the activities of the Lord can be followed but not imitated, and
Yeah.
even how, whether that's of Krishna's activities, or if it's even of our gurus, we can follow in their footsteps, but we're not trying to, be at a level that we've talked about that before, being at a level that we're not at and trying to imitate realization and
Emulate, don't imitate.
Yeah. Emulate, don't imitate. Struck me.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jai. Let's pause it here. Any other reflections you have, you can add to the WhatsApp chat, because we love reading that. It's full of nectar. So for this week, please read chapters 68, 69, and 70, and leave your reflections on what you heard. Especially we heard about Krishna's daily activities. Thank you so much. Now we're going to have a recitation of the Sri Damodar Ashtakam for this month of Kartik, and an offering of ghee lamps. Hare Krishna. Sure, let's record it.
So get your lamps. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Okay. I think you can just log off and we could use mine.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll wait till you do that. Oh, there's. Okay. Musicians only one. I'm gonna move this. Will you hit the light, Tracy? Please. Oops. If someone want to bring the harmonium to Shamia.
Oh,
Okay. Oops, I pulled the plug. Move it over here. The light, it's over there. I'll get it. Yeah. Okay. No, I have a lighter. Yeah. Can you hear it? Okay. closer, Shomya, so they can hear you better? Do you want to come closer? Are you all set up? The closer you are to the computer, the better they can hear.
I mean, it's kind of hard with my foot.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay here.
Namo Deva Damodarananda Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalati Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishyati Dinam Bhatano Ganesha Madhyam Enya Akshi Drishya Kuverat Manjapata Murtyaiva Yadvat Vayamostita Bhakti Bhajakritocha Tata Prema Bhakti Sakame Prayacha Namokshe Grahome Damodaraya Namaste Sudame Spuradipti Dame Hari Odarayata Vishnu Damame Namo Radhikaya Vidya Priyaya Namo Nati Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Three more. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Damodarashtakam ki jai.
Jai,
Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
Jai,
Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar ki jai.
Jai,
Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Party key. There's beautiful lamps and altars all in the images here from everybody. Thank you, sweet soul. Look at the beautiful. There's Tanya's altar. I saw Shakti's. I saw Martin or Martine's. Martine's. Saraswati's out for a walk. Joined us. Amazing. Haribol. And Nancy, there's your beautiful altar. Oh, Jai. Look at Noah's deities. They're gorgeous. Wow. It's so good to see you all and be with you all. And Mom, I see your candles. Mm-hmm.
It was broken.
Your lighter was broken. Oh no, I didn't. Hold on, let me stop the recording.
Why it's not lit.